This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello, and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, more of our podcasts at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts, and you can like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. You can also support us on Patreon at Patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer at the minimum rate of $1 per month for an exclusive RSS feed with content recorded specifically for Patreon supporters, and at the rate of $5 per month, you get access to video reviews and vlogs that we do for the $5 tier patrons. Once again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And yeah, so here we go. I'm your host, the aforementioned Matt Hurt, and I'm here with another special edition of the podcast. It is currently Thursday, April 9th, 2020, and we are closing out day 23 of the first and, dear God, hopefully last ever COVID-19 Film Festival presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. So, the COVID-19 Film Festival is basically me chronicling all the movies that I watch while working from home and quarantining myself during this global pandemic that we're currently experiencing. I'm presenting these podcast episodes as if I were covering a film festival. I'm going to have special days that are programmed by the other hosts, and they may Skype in from time to time to record with me, as is the case in this episode. So this episode is recounting day 16 of the COVID-19 Film Festival, which was April 2nd, 2020. April 2nd, I spent the day working from home, and I watched a bunch of stuff on Netflix. And later in the episode, you'll hear me and Tiny chat about the pandemic, as well as talk about Tiger King, which is being as widespread on the internet as COVID-19 is on the world. The internet's going crazy over Tiger King. I'm not a fan of it. You'll hear my thoughts later in this episode. But that is the spotlight review of this episode, is me and Tiny talking about Tiger King. That episode, or that recording, was recorded on April 2nd, so it's been 7 days. It's been a full week since we recorded that episode. So some of the information may be outdated, but just keep in mind when you hear that it was recorded on April 2nd. Since the last episode of this podcast was also recorded, I believe, on April 2nd, I'm going to forego the Indiana stats for the coronavirus because I want to keep these stats tailored to the day that I'm talking about. So since I've already talked about the stats from April 2nd, 2020, it would be redundant to talk about April 2nd, 2020 again. The next time next time I do this episode or do this podcast, I'll talk about the stats from April 6th, I believe, when I do my next installment of these episodes. So without further ado, let's go into some news. I don't really have much news, except for two items. One, I forgot to bring up on the last episode. Amazon Prime Video announced back on a week ago that basically they tweeted out, okay, exciting news, y'all. We're partnering with South by Southwest on a 10-day streaming event to bring you a collection of movies from this year's lineup. It'll be free for everyone in the United States. Yeah, we said everyone, because these films deserve an audience. Stay tuned for more details. As far as I know, they haven't announced any further details, but I will put a link in the show notes of this episode to the press release that is on South by Southwest's website. This is unprecedented, first of all, and it's big. It's huge. South by Southwest is a huge kind of stop on the festival circuit, and to see them adjusting to this new reality we live in is interesting. It's very intriguing to see what kind of effect this will have in the future after all this has passed. I'm sure that my hope is that it doesn't have any effect on the future, that film festivals still exist in the future, and that we don't have a streaming platform for these theatrical releases or anything, because the theatrical experience is one of the best experiences, one of the best things that We do every day. Not every day, but one of the things we do day to day. Like it's like I'm hurting that I can't go to a movie theater right now. So I really hope that we get those back. There's been rumors and talk about how AMC is very close to having to, they may have to file bankruptcy because their, liquidity, I think is the word, will only last them to June or July. And the latest idea is that the theaters won't be able to reopen until August or September. More on that in the next episode, I think. But man, that's so depressing. I hate that. I really do. But it is needed because, we can't be congregating and infecting each other with this virus that has been just decimating the economy and our citizens of the world and the United States specifically. So that's South by Southwest on Prime Video. That's going to be exciting. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rest of the hosts. I want them to watch as many of them as they can, and I want to do like a group podcast episode. Me, Mike, Tiny, Fecus, Ben, Kirsten. I don't know if we'd be able to get them all on the same episode together, but maybe do maybe assign movies to each one and then kind of do one-on-one things. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to that whenever it happens. So check that out. Link in the show notes to the press release. And then finally, as I am recording this on Thursday night, I'm hoping to get this posted tomorrow, April 10th, because it is once again Friday. And Friday, what the Can Theater here in Indianapolis, which unfortunately was set to open shortly, right around the time that this pandemic happened, and now they can't open for the foreseeable future. They're doing, I mentioned it last time, but they're doing Can at-home cinema, Can on-demand at-home cinema. Friday, April 10th, at 8 p.m., they're going to be, a group is going to be watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There is a Slack channel that you just go into cancanindy.com. That's KANKANINDY.com. Go to at-home cinema and basically just send them, fill out the form to have them send you an invitation to the Slack channel, and then you're in. I didn't get a chance to watch The Social Network with them last week, but I'm hoping to check out Ferris Bueller's Day Off with them and check out the Slack channel as well. So again, that's cancanindy.com. Check that out. Link in the show notes. And I hope you guys, do that. I hope you do that because we need more people need to support everything in this weird world we're in. Okay, and then the last news item that I'm going to bring up on this episode is that the Artcraft Theater, the historic Artcraft Theater in Franklin, Indiana, I've talked about it on the podcast several times before. They obviously are also shut down right now. And I just want to say, just if you have the means, and you're in the area and everything, obviously, go to their website and buy a gift card. A simple gift card purchase can go a long way with them. And then make sure you go there when they reopen. Let's see, I said that this is April 9th. Last night on April 8th, there was a very severe stretch of storms that hit Indianapolis, and Franklin, Indiana actually got hit pretty hard. Not as hard as some other areas, but the Artcraft Theater did have damage on their marquee panels, which they posted on social media and said that those can be replaced and everything, and that's no big deal. But I mean, they're shut down. They can't screen any movies or anything. So please, if you have any interest in going to check out the Artcraft Theater after we've talked about it on the podcast so many times, go buy a gift card. They'll honor it when they reopen, and go check out one of the best places to see a movie in Indianapolis, in the Indianapolis area. I'll put a link in the show notes to that as well, but please check it out. I did buy my own $20 gift card, so I'm excited to get that. I guess they mail it out to you. Basically, it's $1 for postage, and then they also ask that there's a section where you can add an additional donation. So I just threw $5 to the donation, so I paid $25 for a gift card that I'm excited to get and then actually use when they reopen. So check that out. And let's get into day 16. This episode is covering day 16 of the COVID-19 Film Festival. So let's get into day 16 of the COVID-19 Film Festival, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com, the Netflix Spotlight Day. Okay, so the Netflix day of COVID-19 was just the day where I decided to watch a bunch of stuff on Netflix, and I ended up watching 3 movies on Netflix that I'll talk about, and then I'll throw it to our Spotlight review with me and Tiny talking about Tiger King, and me ranting and raving about how utterly ridiculous and stupid it is. So look forward to that. I'll do non-spoilers for these 3 movies that I'm going to talk about on Netflix. Obviously, all 3 of them are available to stream on Netflix, and check them out once I finish talking at you about them, or don't, considering the ratings on a couple of these. So, okay, so first up is Search Party. I'm going to play a clip from the trailer here, and then we'll get right back into my review of Search Party. Here's a clip from the trailer.
Hello?
Jason, I should be married and on my honeymoon, but because of you, I am going to die here.
Okay, where are you?
I went down to the resort to get Tracy back. I got carjacked, man. I was wearing my grandfather's tux. They took that too.
So you got carjacked and then you got tuxedo jacked?
I am naked in the middle of Mexico.
Murda's naked. We gotta go find him.
All right, so Search Party is, according to IMDb, about a pair of friends embark on a mission to reunite their pal with the woman he was going to marry. Search Party has a pretty impressive cast. It's got Adam Pally from Happy Endings, Thomas Middleditch from Silicon Valley, and TJ Miller from Silicon Valley as well, and some not so crazy news pieces, I guess, news things. Also has Shannon Woodward, Allison Brie, JB Smoove. So it's got a pretty good cast. Also got Lance Reddick, Kristen Ritter, Rosa Salazar, Jason Mantzoukas. God, I love him so much. So there's a really good cast of comic actors in this movie. Unfortunately, the movie was not good. Like, even with the really good cast, it was just like I mentioned, Jason Mantzoukas. I love that guy. Whenever he pops up, particularly when he pops up on Comedy Bang Bang on the podcast, but the movies that he's in, like, he's in one of my favorite romantic comedies, Sleeping with Other People, and he's also in one of my favorite satires of romantic comedies. They came together. He's great, but Search Party, like, he plays a magician that's doing, like, he is involved in a black market scheme. I'll say that one of the characters kind of crosses paths with. It's dumb. It's a brief thing. I kind of wish that he had more to do. Really, I wish that all of these actors had more to do. It just felt like they didn't have the freedom to just improv, like, at all. And some of these actors I've seen on, like I said, on Comedy Bang Bang, they have done incredible improvisations. The Thomas Middleditch in particular, like, here in a couple of weeks, on Netflix, they're going to release, Schwartz and Middleditch, or Middleditch and Schwartz. It's Thomas Middleditch and Ben Schwartz doing improvised comedy on stage. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be set up like a limited series where there's going to be 3 episodes that are 3 improvised comedy specials. Super excited about that. I think it comes out April 21st, but check Netflix for more information. But it's incredible. I'm excited for it specifically because they're great improvisers. And Thomas Middleditch was not given really anything to do. None of them were. This was a really lazy and dumb comedy. This is the type of comedy that it, like, on Netflix's algorithm, has it set up as late night comedies. Just kind of turn off your brain, watch while drunk or hungover or high or whatever. But even that, like, I watched it sober, but the script is just so bland, and it just hits so many marks. It's like kind of like, okay, late night comedy screenwriting 101. Like, okay, they need to do this and this and this. Let's hit these marks, and then we'll surround each mark with just the most ridiculous and unearned hijinks we can come up with. And then we won't put anything around them to build up to that. So it kind of had this frenetic energy where it's like, oh, okay, well, Thomas Middleditch is suddenly he's in Mexico and he's naked and he doesn't know where he is, so the guys have to go find him. That's a fine enough setup, but it's also like, okay, just not enough to really compel you. And it just feels like it's just too much of a riff on like the Hangover movies where they need to find someone and they're in danger, but it didn't have like the, I don't want to say charm of the Hangover movies, but it didn't have the intrigue of it or the frankly the comedy of the Hangover movies. It just felt just so unearned every beat that this movie hit. And like even the set pieces themselves, just they lack, like they don't meld well with the plot at all. Like there's a whole subplot where Adam Pally's character he's in line for promotion or something, and Lance Reddick is his boss, and he has to meet a deadline or something like that. And it's fine, but it's also, it just feels just so like forced. Like, okay, we need to have something to anchor this character to make him more like irritable about the situation that TJ Miller has put him in. Conversely, he has a like romantic thing with Alison Brie's character, who's a coworker. And like one of the things that kind of just really just bothered me about it, just on a basic just on a basic level, was that like it's one of those standard like romantic subplots in an R-rated comedy thing where it's like, okay, well, you know, they're going to end up together, but it's going to be the most contrived thing ever because he puts her through hell and does horrific things. But it's like the movie is so like haphazard and slapped together that they don't even make like a decent enough attempt to smooth things over between these two characters. So like when you get to the climax of the movie and you get the kind of very unearned resolution to their subplot, it's like, okay, but he did this and that and now she's in this position and he's like why did, like, I don't think he earned any of this in the denouement of the movie. It just didn't work for me. Yeah, so it I don't know, you might get a kick out of it if you like those types of just turn your brain off movies. There are some decent bits that I remember laughing at, but it's been a week and I've blanked out most of the movie from my mind, to be honest. Thomas Middleditch is weirdly naked throughout most of the movie. So if you want to gawk at him, I watched the movie. But it didn't really do, like, the movie didn't really do anything for me. And your mileage may vary. That's Search Party from 2014. I rated it on Letterboxd 1.5 stars out of 5. You might like it more than I did. I did not like it, though. So watch at your own risk. So next up on this episode of Obsessive Viewer is The Little Hours. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip from the trailer here.
Beautiful morning, sister.
Hey, don't fucking talk to us. Get the fuck out of here.
Sister Ginevra, Sister Fernanda, Sister Alessandra, Sister Maria. These are your sins.
Bling, bling, bitch, do my own thing, bitch.
Filthy conversation,
Mind your own fucking business.
lustfulness, homosexuality.
Too tight.
Did you roll your eyes?
No.
You were rolling your eyes.
Wake up, little bitches, let me show you how to live.
You're insane. You've been so...
You're gonna get me fucking killed.
Bring me his goddamn balls.
Preaching to you little bitches.
Okay, The Little Hours stars Alison Brie, once again, Dave Franco, Kate Micucci, Aubrey Plaza, John C. Reilly, Molly Shannon, Fred Armisen, and some other people. Oh, Nick Offerman's in it for a couple of scenes. Paul Reiser's in it for like one scene. Adam Pally is also in this movie. Jeez. And John Gabris. So, plot summary, courtesy of IMDb, is in the Middle Ages, a young servant fleeing from his master takes refuge At a convent full of emotionally unstable nuns. Introduced as a deaf-mute man, he must fight to hold his cover as the nuns try to resist temptation. So, The Little Hours was slightly better than Search Party. I'll go ahead and say it. I rated it 2.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's fine. It really tries so hard to be irreverent and satirical and inappropriate. Like I am not a snob or squeamish about inappropriate humor. It's offensive humor and it works. Or on paper, it works. It should work. But it's so inconsistent in the tone of the movie and in the kind of I think that what that type of irreverent and satirical humor, stuff like, nuns dropping F-bombs and talking about how they, how they're lusting after people, but it's modern language. It's not too middle-agey, but it's oh, I want to fuck that guy. It's and the funny part of it is, oh, these are nuns talking about this in the Middle Ages, but they're using, modern, vernacular. But it doesn't try hard enough to make that interesting at all. That is the kind of the sole purpose of it, is that, the sole purpose of that satirical humor is to just call attention to the fact that it's anachronistic to the time frame of the movie. And it is kind of resting on those laurels, and it's not doing anything at all to really heighten the comedy, aside from the fact that it's modern cursing in middle age, settings and stuff. The whole plot line with Dave Franco as a man who escapes his servant, the king, and hides out there, and then he gets into trysts with the nuns. It's fine. He plays a deaf mute, or he's putting on an act of being a deaf mute man, and when that kind of falls apart toward the end of the movie, that's some interesting drama, I guess. But it's still it kind of just felt like going through the motions. And maybe this is just me coming off of watching Search Party and going into this, but it just did not captivate me at all. Even with the pretty good cast, it didn't really do anything for me. Kate Micucci did stand out for me because she plays her character is this kind of goody two shoes, very very nosy character, and she's very much trying to get the other nuns in trouble, and it's funny because John C. Reilly's kind of the head of the monastery, I guess. I don't know the words, but but he's kind of the head of the place, him and Molly Shannon, and they don't give a shit. They don't care if one of the other nuns has stolen something, or are leaving in the night or whatever. And it's funny to see that contrast with Kei Micucci's character trying so hard to kind of get that level of attention from the higher ups. That kind of works a little bit, but that's about it, really. There are some twists in the plot that I felt were pretty interesting. It kind of delves into almost another genre itself, toward the end of the movie, but it's stuff that I've seen so many times, and it doesn't do anything unique with it, aside from oh, here, now we're throwing you into this type of movie, but we're not going to do anything unique with this type of movie, or this type of genre, so you're just going to watch us do this thing. And it kind of just felt kind of like I said with Search Party, it just felt unearned and unconvincing or lifeless, really. It didn't really have much going for it that made me feel compelled to it. There is a subplot involving Kate Micucci and Aubrey Plaza's character, that the fallout of that, there's this rift that forms between them, that Kate Micucci is trying to get her attention. That was pretty interesting, and a little funny, I guess, but it was more emotional than anything, although it wasn't necessarily heavy drama or anything, but it just felt like it injected a little bit of life into the movie, but not really enough to make me more interested in what was going on with it. Yeah, and that's about it for The Little Hours. It's short, but I mean, the movie didn't really do anything for me. It was from 2017, by the way. And I rated it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. And I mean, once again, like I said with Search Party, your mileage may vary. It was, I would say that obviously, I would definitely say that Search Party was a lot more vulgar and, vulgar, really. But The Little Hours does have its irreverence and, kind of crazy humor, but it didn't, like Search Party, it just didn't land for me. It didn't do anything for me. Yeah, it was fine, but I'm probably never going to watch it again. So watch it at your own risk. It is available on Netflix. It's The Little Hours from 2017. And I rated it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. Okay, and the third and last movie of this section of the podcast for this episode is Unicorn Store, which was also from 2017, and I'm going to play a clip from the trailer right now.
Behold, we sell what you need.
Unicorns? That was the only thing I ever wanted.
If I have one brought here, I have to know that you're for real.
I've made a decision. I'm building a home worthy of a unicorn. I'm thinking something like a stable.
I don't think a pony wants to live in your basement.
That's a good point.
Do you think this is some kind of joke?
Should we just get you a puppy?
I know that I'm just a disappointment. You're always like, why don't you have a boyfriend? Or why aren't you just more like Kevin?
Oh, someone call me?
No!
So, according to IMDb, Unicorn Store is, here's a plot summary, courtesy of IMDb. Kit, a 20-something dreamer, receives an invitation that would fulfill her childhood dreams. This movie stars Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Joan Cusack, Bradley Whitford, Mahmoud Athey, and Hamish Linklater. Wow, and Martha McIsaac, I think I've only ever seen her in Superbad. Anyway, the movie is directed by Brie Larson. It's her directorial debut, and written by Samantha McIntyre, who is a producer on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and has worked on other things. So, finally, I'm getting to a good movie. I really loved Unicorn Store. My God. So there's a scene where, Brie Larson's character is giving a presentation, and the kind of room, like the board members or whatever, the business people that are watching it, one of them says that, it's out of context, but anyway, she says, I'm just realizing right now I might hate rainbows. And then someone says, oh my God, me too. Let's just keep this really real and grounded. Because it's an advertising campaign and everything. And Brie Larson's character has done this very childlike, whimsical presentation. And her response to their back and forth is, wait, you guys do realize, sorry, rainbows are real. So anyway, to get to my actual thoughts on Unicorn Store, this movie is a very interesting take on the kind of old adage and the kind of universal feeling that people get of, growing up when you're not ready to, like going into adulthood and shedding, like putting away childish things. So what the movie does so well is Kit, played by Brie Larson, she is so resistant to doing that. Like she's so resistant to getting a new life. It starts with her failing out of art school, and she goes back to live with her parents. And the entire, she's at, an existential crisis in that she needs to start, her own life. She needs to start her adult life. She needs to find a job. She needs to have, steady income and a place to live and everything. She needs all of these things. And what I love about the way that this movie depicts that stage of a person's life is that it does it through the guise or through the lens of the most childlike dream that you can have. So she finds she is invited to this secret place where Samuel L. Jackson tells her that this is a unicorn store. You are going to get a unicorn. But in order to get a unicorn, you need to do these things. You need to make up with your family. You need to build a good place for the unicorn to live. You need to have a steady job. You need to get your life together, essentially. And I found it really interesting because that's a way to depict this growing up feeling for like mid to late 20 somethings who are kind of in a stunted, like Arrested Development phase of their life, it's an interesting way to showcase that change from going to that kind of like childish way about you to an adult, functioning adult. I've never seen that depicted in a way where it's like, okay, we're going to just throw you into this world, this fantasy world, or maybe real world, where she's going to get her most childlike dream, but in order to do that, she has to make her life better as an adult. And it was just a really interesting dichotomy for the movie to play, because she works really hard to get to that point, but she has this just kind of childlike whimsy that I found really charming and engaging and relatable even. I mean, what little boy doesn't dream about having a unicorn? Not really. I didn't really want a unicorn, but I understand it as a metaphor, though, as a metaphor for that childish hope, that childlike dream that you have that made your childhood all the more better, to dream about having this one thing in your life, or achieving this one goal that is wildly impossible and impractical and everything, and to use that goal for this character as the kind of as the moving force to get her to move on to this next stage of her life, where she's an adult and she's not stunted in her development, or not childish in any respect or anything. I just thought that was a really interesting way to do it, and it pays off incredibly well. Like Brie Larson is astounding. Like, I really loved her direction in this movie, and her acting is of course phenomenal, because I just really bought how just affected she was by all of this. Like, how she was very much like her hopes and dreams were on display in this movie in a way that I didn't think I would really connect with. Granted, I didn't really know what the movie was going into it all that well, but I also felt like, well, this is a movie that is like I'm buying into this world that this movie is creating for me, and this character and the character that Brie Larson is creating for me. Yeah, it's just an interesting take on kind of confronting adulthood and adult responsibilities. And add to that the fact that this movie starts with her having her soul and her dreams crushed, or her soul and aspirations crushed by just her life, by failing out of art school. And she kind of struggles with that a bit. And I don't know, it was really well done. Like, I feel like there was a lot going for this movie in terms of the direction and like the way that it kept her grounded in a reality, but didn't pigeonhole her to that reality. Like, you believe that the unicorn store exists. And when the movie goes into the phase of the movie, I guess, where, you know, her sanity is questioned, essentially. It's not like, it doesn't take any like dark turns or anything. It's just like, you're there with her. You believe that she believes that this thing is real. And then when that belief is, challenged, it's really kind of heartfelt and heartbreaking even. And it all pays off incredibly well. Like, I was moved by one scene in particular toward the end of the movie, where I'll just say that Brie Larson has a conversation, and it is beautiful. Like, it is absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of the thesis statement of the entire movie. And it's something that I felt so just on board with that character. I was moved by it. It resonated with me in a lot of ways as someone who is an adult and had a very active imagination as a child. So I really just responded to this, and I thought that it was really great. Brie Larson did a phenomenal job, and I really hope that she directs more going forward in her career. I rated this 4 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd, and yeah, it's available on Netflix. I definitely recommend checking it out. The IMDb user rating is only 5.5 out of 10, which I feel is a shame, because I really felt that this movie was higher than that. So yeah, that's Unicorn Store. I loved it. I can't wait to see what Brie Larson does next behind the camera. And I'm always a fan of hers when she is in front of the camera as well. She's a very talented actress. She's, I would say, probably one of my favorite actresses right now. Her, Florence Pugh, and Jennifer Lawrence still, although she hasn't really been in anything lately. Completely ignoring X-Men Dark Phoenix. I had to pause and remember what movie that was. But yeah, so anyway, Brie Larson's amazing, great directorial debut. Can't wait to see what she does next. That's available on Netflix. It's Unicorn Store, 4 stars on Letterboxd from Maddie Fresh. DJ Maddie Fresh on the 1s and 2s. Okay, so now we have come to what I'm sure everyone's waiting for. Tiny and I talking about Tiger King. Tiger King, the limited series, documentary series, reality series, on Netflix that everyone's going just apeshit for. So enjoy this next segment of the podcast, our spotlight recording about Tiger King. Of course, this was recorded April 2nd, so we don't have any, just today it was announced that Joel McHale is going to have an after show starting next week where he talks to people that are in the documentary series, and I guess it's going to go episode by episode. I don't know. Frankly, I don't care because I thought it was a garbage documentary series, really. And then Jeff Lowe, one of the subjects of it, said that there's going to be another episode that's going to come out at some point. Spoiler for this next segment, I'm not going to watch it because I don't care. But anyway, without further ado, this recording from April 2nd, where Tiny and I talk about the pandemic, and then we go into talking about Tiger King. Enjoy, and thank you guys so much for listening, and have a good one, and stay safe. All right, so we're here for the Spotlight screening review thing for this episode of Obsessive Viewer, the COVID-19 Film Festival, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com, the first and hopefully last ever COVID-19 Film Festival. And so Tiny is joining us once again via the internets, because we are quarantined in our homes, and it is for me, it's day 16.
For me, it's day -1 because I still have not started a quarantine because I'm still working.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, that's fair. Yeah, I'm actually recording this very soon after Mike and I recorded the last episode segment and everything. So I've gotten to talk to both of you today. It's been nice.
Nice.
Yeah. He's doing well, by the way.
Good.
Yeah, he said the most wholesome thing ever, and I just love his optimism. Because I said, I asked him how it was going and everything, how he's handling all the COVID-19 stuff, because, he has 2 young kids. And he said that parents always say that you wish that you had, the times when your kids were 4 and 2, for just a little bit longer. When they get older, you miss that time. And then he's like, this is my time. I'm having that time now.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and I'm like, Mike, that is so sweet.
Oh.
Yeah. Check out his band, As Good As It Gets. They have a new single, Usual Suspect.
Sweet.
Yes. So, so Tiny, for this Spotlight episode thing, Spotlight segment or whatever, this episode of the COVID-19 Film Festival presented by ObsessiveViewer.com is all about the Netflix movies I've watched today, really, April 2nd. So the listeners have already heard all that. So, Tiny, what are we talking about for the Spotlight segment?
We're going to talk about tigers and that goddamn Carol Baskin.
No, we were talking
awesome.
about the much adored, maligned, insert adjective here, Netflix miniseries Tiger King, because we pretty much have to.
Yeah, we do.
We're pretty much obligated to talk about it because it's so popular.
It is. It's crazy, and I'm so glad that we actually have the opportunity to talk about it as while it's still pretty much at the forefront. So I'm hoping for some good SEO on this.
Yeah.
People discovering the podcast. Just for, I'll go ahead and play a clip from the trailer for Tiger King here. And so enjoy this clip from the trailer from Netflix's Tiger
Not
King.
every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
There are more captive tigers in the U.S. than there are in the wild throughout the world.
Animal people are nuts, man. They're all crazy. I'm sure y'all got a story to tell.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Joe Exotic, and this is Sarge.
He was like a mythical character living out in the middle of bumfuck Oklahoma who owned 1,200 tigers and lions and bears and shit.
All right, and the plot summary from IMDb is a rivalry between big cat eccentrics takes a dark turn when Joe Exotic, a controversial animal park boss, is caught in a murder-for-hire plot. This documentary series, it runs for 7 episodes, I believe. And it is, 7 episodes. And it is on Netflix right now, and that's about it that I have.
Yeah.
So, Tiny, first of all, I forgot to mention this. Well, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe I'll splice it in later. Fuck it. Anyway, I'm going to take that again. So, Tiny, this documentary series, how did you come about watching it? Like, what intrigued you about it to watch it, and how did you feel about it?
I heard about it through the internet before I ever saw any promotion for it or anything on Netflix. And it just blew up on the internet, and I started seeing posts about it, and there were instant memes like the day after the series posted. It's crazy. And so basically I was like, I have to watch this because it was being spoiled for me what happened, because people were just binging it because of so many people are home right now and they don't have anything to do or they're bored. And so they're just streaming 7 episodes in one day. Not that I blame them.
No.
So the problem was I really wanted to watch it just because it looked interesting, intriguing, entertaining, and so I wanted to watch it. But the problem is, Paige, my wife, is very much against animal captivity. Like she's not a fan of zoos or anything. Like I never used to think about it very much. Like I was never an animal rights person, and I'm still not. But like I just never gave it much thought. But she's really kind of changed my opinions on it, and I can't really enjoy the zoo anymore. And any kind of animal captivity, even if it's for educational purposes or even if they're bred in captivity, I just can't really tolerate it anymore. I can't enjoy it anymore is what I'm trying to say. I'm not like up in arms about it or anything, but so basically, to make a long story short, Paige refused to watch it. She was like, it's just going to make me really sad. I won't be able to enjoy it. And so I had to try to find time to watch it on my own, which was challenging because Paige is working exclusively from home. So she's always here. So it's not like I get home early from work or something and I can just watch an episode real quick or something like that. It's like I basically was down my phone and watching them during my lunch breaks at work. So yeah, that's kind of how I came to it. Was really just because of the popularity, and I just wanted to be in on the loop, really.
Right. Oh, yeah. You just wanted to be part of the conversation. That's kind of the reason why I watched it. Also because, what the fuck else am I going to do? Because I'm working from home and everything, and I can just have it playing in the background. So having said that, this documentary series, it runs the gamut of a bunch of different things. Like, it's not necessarily about the animals being in captivity. It's part true crime. It's part just off the wall, crazy depiction of these larger than life people that are so over the top. And I don't know. I'll go ahead and say it. I fucking hate this. I don't know if I'd say fucking hate it, but I didn't care about it that, like, I didn't care Carol Baskin about it. But no, it was fine. It was perfectly fine. It it was interesting. It kept my attention and everything, but I have such a bug up my ass about it because it seems like the internet is running with it, while also just not like. I feel like the memification of it and the conversation surrounding it is all wrong. Like 100% just completely wrong in terms of just misreading the actual documentary, like the subject, and misreading, like, I don't know, misappropriating like your like the internet hive minds, like latching on to like Joe Exotic as an interesting person. Like, he's interesting, but he's also like nobody in this fucking documentary series is what's the word I'm looking for? Someone I give two shits about. Like, I couldn't see anyone in this fucking thing. So I don't know. I'll talk more as we go into this little review and everything. But I think back to like Making a Murderer, and even Serial, which it kind of feels like this documentary series is partially a victim, or I don't know. I don't know if Netflix. I don't know how much input Netflix had in actually crafting the documentary, because they were filming for years.
Right.
But I don't know how much input they had into it. But I kind of feel like part of it is like the Netflix algorithm thing, which is becoming more and more predominant, at least my interpretation of it. Like okay, the very beginning of the entire documentary series is an assortment of clips and everything. It's edited together to make you interested, and then it ends with like, this is a collect call from the prison where Joe Exotic is, and it's like, it just feels like that. Like that's how Serial started every episode. And I was just like, are they purposely doing that to make us more like nostalgic for that and put that nostalgia into? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can really read into that. I think it's just a style thing.
You're probably right. Like 100% probably, absolutely.
Creative choice.
Yeah, but it just like that kind of set me off at first, but it kind of feels like this documentary series, while being very intriguing, I guess, with interesting people that I didn't like or sympathize with. I couldn't sympathize with anyone in this documentary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it kind of felt like there was no cohesion to it. It was not a cohesive documentary series, because it was just like, we're going to throw all this shit at the wall and see what sticks. Like, oh, hey, here's this guy that's going to come in and save the zoo, but oh, he's actually going to do this, and like we'll find out about that 2 episodes later and everything. And I don't know. Anyway, how did you feel about it overall?
I was wildly entertained by it. I mean, it was totally just a fly on the wall situation, and like I agree 100% that I don't think there is one person in the documentary who is sympathetic at all.
Yeah.
Who I empathize with.
Yeah, I would say the one. Sorry. Well, we can talk about that later. Sorry, go ahead, continue.
So, but it's just it's like watching a long train wreck. You know, but the thing is, by the time we get to the end, there are so many despicable characters involved, with the Jeff Lowe guy, and then the dude with the long chili bowl haircut. His name was Mike or something. I don't remember what his name was. The local guy who was like the business owner who got involved with them.
Was that Dr. what?
Doc Antle? No, not him. It was like he was local to Wynnewood, Oklahoma, I think.
Sure.
I don't know. I can't remember what his damn name was, but so that guy, and then the plot thickened, and there were so many balls in the air, and all these people were so awful, and everything that you were hearing was entirely hearsay.
Yes.
There's like no facts involved anymore, and it's just like, let's just get to the end of this. I hope all these people end up in jail, or penniless, or basically they get their comeuppance because they're all terrible. I hope that happens, and let's just get there because I'm kind of. It's not a criticism of the documentary. They have to have a cohesive story until the end, and so they had to follow it no matter where it went. I understand that. And I'm not criticizing the documentary. I'm just saying that's how I felt by the last 2 episodes. I was like, I just hate all these people, and I want them to get their comeuppance. And unfortunately, not all of them did.
Right.
But
here's the thing that I kind of, maybe it's because of the world we're in right now. But here's the thing that I kind of really, really had the biggest problem with the documentary series as a whole and the internet's reaction to it. So right now, like we said, we're under quarantine because of the coronavirus. It is a majority of things are shut down. Only essential employees are supposed to be out and everything. And there is a ton of just internet rhetoric and everything leveled at Donald Trump because of the way he is mishandling everything and the way he's a fucking moron who is just being responsible for the deaths of potentially hundreds of thousands of Americans. But anyway, and I am including myself in that conversation, of course. Everything. But the thing is, what I don't like about Tiger King and the rhetoric around the current presidential administration, I feel like there is this opportunity for Tiger King to be a reflection of our culture and everything. And it's maybe something that could be studied by someone who's a lot smarter than me, but I don't understand the kind of cognitive dissonance between people who are fervently and, in my opinion, rightfully anti-Trump, anti the entire administration, just on the grounds that he's a narcissistic, egomaniacal sociopath who he is a dangerous individual to be leading the country. But then also people are flocking to this larger than life personality who had a presidential campaign and had election political mild political aspirations and stuff, but they're treating him as they're propping Joe Exotic up like he is some hero and everything when he's not. He's a shitty person. He's fucking waving a gun around, talking very extensively for years about murdering this woman. Going so far as to shooting a fucking handgun at a blow-up doll, talking about having her head in a jar, and doing all of these things, doing these despicable things and everything that he eventually got arrested for, and people are propping him up he's great because he's what everyone aspires to be. And I just feel like there's just such a thing. It's the celebrityism of Joe Exotic is the same cult of personality that got Donald Trump elected because his idiot followers decided to vote for him. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Am I completely off base?
I don't know that you're off base. I think there's some themes there that there's some crossover. I'll say that. And I disagree with that. Joe Exotic is exactly where he needs to be. Right. In prison for a long time. So yeah, I agree with that, but I don't know. There's so much to cover here. I don't think there's, like I said, I don't think there's anybody that can be empathized with on the show. Even the people who were seemingly victims, like the two husbands of Joe Exotic. They absolutely were of their own free will, made the decision to marry him and be part of that. And granted, they were sort of seduced by, obviously they were straight men sort of pretending to be gay to, be part of this lifestyle, essentially, to, first of all, to get drugs and to basically have toys and money thrown at them. It's not a new thing, but they made the decision to be there, and I'm not saying that it's not tragic. What happened to, I think his name was Travis?
I think I don't know, but
yeah, accidentally killing himself. Like that's sad, and no one wanted that. Yeah. But yeah, so there are some people who maybe I sympathize with for certain reasons, but everyone on this involved in this story chose to be there and could have gotten out of this. And like the one girl who was part of Doc Antle's group, and they interviewed her. Mm-hmm. She was like one of the animal handlers, and she got out and talked about how weird and culty it was and stuff. Like her, like, yeah, you can empathize with her. She made a dumb decision, and she was young, and she went out there and did it. But when she got older and realized what was going on, she's like, all right, I got to get the hell out of here, and she got out of there, right? So yeah. But that's one person.
Yeah, and I would say the one sympathetic person in the entire series is also kind of, I don't know if I'd say problematic, but like the woman that got her arm eaten off.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's a completely sympathetic person. I have no problems with her, but also it's like I'm more talking about like just the audience reaction, like missing the point that like, okay, well, she's so entrenched in this cultish lifestyle and everything that she was back at work like within 5 days of having her arm ripped off.
Right.
And like no one on the internet seems to be batting an eye to where like they're just more like, oh, Joe Exotic, oh, he's so great and everything. It's like the second episode of the entire documentary series is literally called Cult of Personality and is about how he seduces people into this weird fucking world, and people are still like, I saw like one of the memes that I saw came from a Facebook page that's like free Joe Exotic, and I'm like, fucking why? Like,
yeah,
like why?
He's 100% guilty of the things he's in jail for.
And that's and that's another thing. Like you touched on when you talked about the kind of just general discussion about it, that like there's no facts. Like there's no facts at all. And that was one of my bigger issues as well, is that like the internet, like everyone on the internet, even fucking OJ Simpson on fucking Twitter is like, oh, Carol Baskin definitely fed her husband to live tigers. And it's like, unless I missed something, which is perfectly like entirely possible, because I was watching it while I was working, like there's nothing in it in the entire documentary series in the form of evidence. Like it's not a true crime documentary. Like it doesn't go into like detail about like, oh, how she could have done it or how this could have happened. Like there's like, oh, we found his truck here or the van or whatever at the run on the runway and everything, and that's it. And like one of the episodes ends with a fucking video of Joe Exotic saying like, I'm going to prove to you that she fed her husband to the tigers and everything, and then there's no proof at all. But
right,
but yet the internet is all like, oh yeah, she definitely did that and everything. It's like, who the fuck is to say? Because there's no proof or anything. There's no evidence of that in the documentary series.
Right. Yeah, I'll say that. I mean, I will say that I think the filmmakers didn't take a moral stance at any point saying this is something, these people and their lifestyles are something to emulate or something to yearn for. I don't think they ever made that statement. Sure. And I think they did sort of show some evidence that was not evidence, but examples of why this is not a good lifestyle to lead.
Right.
And that these people are not good people. Mm-hmm. So I will say that, but you're right. The internet and a lot of people are missing the point, and they're kind of, I guess they're not getting the point that they really should.
Right.
It's like this. Joe Exotic should not be free. These people should not be adored or emulated. Mm-hmm. They should really be mocked, and there's a lot of mockery going on. Right. Which is it's satisfying. I'm enjoying the shit out of that.
Oh, me too.
But yeah, there's some unfortunate stuff out there. I bet the illegal sale of tigers is going to go through the roof.
Oh yeah, I did.
Which is unfortunate.
Oh, absolutely. And I did see a really great meme that was like the meme of like the woman and the man in bed, and the woman is looking over at the husband while he's laying down like next to her, and then like the thought bubble is her saying like, in this particular case, it's like, I bet he's thinking about how he can protect his family from COVID-19, and then the thought bubble from him is like, I could have had a tiger for only $2,000 this entire fucking time.
Exactly. So I've seen that. It's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's just it's weird. I think to kind of dive away from, or to kind of make myself seem like less of an ass and move away from the internet reaction to it. I think that is, I mean, that's just me griping about the internet. Like, I can't get, like, no one is in control of how the internet reacts to something or latches onto something.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is partially a failure of the filmmaker's part that they didn't create a story. Like, it didn't seem like they had any, like, vision for, like, what they were doing, like, except for just telling the story, which is fine, but it's also like, what's the point? And like, I get it that like, yeah, it's fun as an entertainment piece, but it's like also there's some pretty shitty things happening in it that, like,
right.
I don't know. It
was basically a reality show as opposed to a documentary, and I think that's why you're having such a reaction to it. And I agree with you 100%.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, it was all about, look at how fucking nuts these people are. It wasn't about, let's say, the tigers or who really killed Carol Baskin's husband, what really happened to him. Or it wasn't about that. It was, they found this subject and filmed it. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay. I'm fine with it, actually. I don't necessarily think they should have taken a different approach or edited the documentary differently. I don't feel the same way as you do in that regard. Like, I'm pretty happy with the way it all went, because I think if they had tried to attach any kind of theme or make any kind of moral judgments or sort of tell the audience how to feel, mm-hmm. I think it would have come across as disingenuous, and it would have been controversial, maybe. I'm not sure. It's hard to say how that would have turned out and how people would have reacted, but yeah, it's the conversation is all about how nuts is this, and I'm fine with that, because I'm glad that it's about that, and as opposed to a bunch of assholes on the internet saying, man, I want a fucking tiger, and people should be allowed to have tigers, and Jesus. You know, the advocacy for that movement gaining traction could have been a symptom of this documentary, but because of the way it was filmed, I'm sure there's going to be some of that, but it's not a mainstay of this documentary and its popularity, its pop culture status, and I think that's a happy accident more than anything.
That's a really good point. Like that frames it in a way that makes me much less heated about it.
Yeah.
I will.
It's hot trash. The show is just hot trash without question. I mean,
and that's another like just the like people like to romanticize like that type of like that. How to phrase it? That type of person, that type of culture. And I'm just like, I've never liked it or cared about it. Like, just read it or whatever. Like, there are times throughout the documentary, throughout each episode, where I'm just like, and we may, I don't know, because you know how I am about, like, I feel about guns and everything. It's like, oh, this dude's just shooting guns off and everything. And, like, I'm like, this is fucking like, this guy is a fucking dangerous individual. And, like, it's just it blows my mind that people like latch onto him and stuff. So I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's funny. Just back to the sort of bridge you built between this and the unfortunate popularity of Donald Trump. Yeah. I think I feel like this is the way I felt about Donald Trump before he was a quote unquote politician. I was entertained by him the same way I was entertained by this documentary, right?
Okay.
I was like, I would see Donald Trump do what he does and say the ridiculous shit that he says about women and about whatever, his money. And I was like, I would laugh and be like, what a jackass. I can't believe that guy's famous, whatever. Yeah. It was entertaining and that was fine. I didn't watch The Apprentice. I didn't seek out any information regarding Donald Trump, but it would make its way into popular culture and be a thing, and I would interact. I would come across it, right? And that's how I felt about him. That says something really disturbing to me, that there are a disturbing amount of parallels between the people in this documentary and our current president. And that's I think that's why the internet discussion and the popularity of it has the attitude that it does, because that's unfortunately common right now, is someone like these people gaining any kind of traction and popularity. But my point is to keep those people where they are. Let's keep them as caricatures that we laugh at, let's not make them president.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think the most disturbing thing about the most disturbing thing about my entire argument and my position toward this documentary series is that, to go back to the whole notion that Carol Baskin fed her husband to tigers, plausible that it could have happened. There's no evidence to it. It's not a deep dive into that specific crime or anything. It's just, that's just part of the crazy story and everything. But the most disturbing thing about it is that the documentary series is about Joe Exotic. So people that are watching the documentary series are like, oh, Joe Exotic. Oh, she definitely, because he said that, she definitely fed her husband to tigers. Whereas later on in the documentary series, there is a situation where the studio gets burned down and animals lose their lives because of it. That it is overwhelmingly there is a far stronger case that Joe Exotic did that himself, or created a situation where he set fire to his own studio and killed some alligators or something. Yeah. But the internet doesn't fucking care about that. They're just like, oh, Carol Baskin, because that's what Joe Exotic said. And that is the most disturbing thing about it. Because it's not this objective viewpoint of it. It's from the lens of Joe Exotic, which that's fine as a subject and everything, but if the audience can't parse out or be objective about it, even if it's a subjective thing, what's the point of art? That's something that gets me so just bothered and disturbed by it. So yeah,
I agree. That's the prevailing theory about her husband, her first husband, is because that's what was given so much attention in the documentary by Joe Exotic. But it is, like you said, it's plausible that happened, but it is equally as plausible that she went to her husband and was like, hey, we hate each other. You want to go to Costa Rica. All I want is your money. You don't give a fuck about your money. How about you just get out of here and I will declare you legally dead in 5 years so that I can get your money. He could be sitting on a beach in Costa Rica right now, which is equally as plausible as her killing him and feeding him to tigers.
Right. Yep.
But nobody's really talking about that.
No, not at all. Because it's
so you're right, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't care for it. I think it's mostly just the internet propping up a shitty person as a hero of the documentary series. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I will probably watch it again for sheer entertainment value. I seriously could not wait to see what happened next. I was entertained as hell throughout the whole thing. And really, until the end, I didn't really get sad about the animals. It was sort of in my mind. But there was so much tragedy involved with the people. And I don't mean the main people. Again, Joe Exotic, Jeff Lowe, even Carol Baskin, and Doc Antle, they're not sympathetic. I don't care what happened to them.
Right.
Like I said, they should all be in jail. But the people who worked for them and trusted them were just paid shitty wages and strung along, and a lot of them became addicted to drugs and weren't leading great lives,
right.
and could more than likely be leading quality lives despite the fact that they were seduced by these people.
Yes.
And I hate to say it, but that is a greater tragedy than tigers in a cage. I mean, they're both very wrong, and I don't like to see the tigers in the cage and stuff like that. But you know, that's something that's not being paid a lot of attention to. A woman lost her arm, like you said earlier, and that's wildly tragic.
I agree.
I feel very hypocritical because I'm very critical of reality TV, especially the trash reality TV, and that's what this is. I mean, that's really what this is.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of trick that it's pulling, is that it is trashy reality television disguised as like insightful document or thorough or all encompassing
with good editing.
Documentary / partial true crime facade. Like,
yes,
it doesn't feel that way. Like, I feel like it's a con. Like it's a con within. It's a con about a con who gets conned.
Yeah,
it's cons all the way down. So yeah, I don't know. That's our review.
Yeah, I'm ready to stop talking about it.
Yeah, me too. All right, well, that's our review of Tiger King. Let us know what you thought. This was one of the more interesting reviews I think we've done, at least recently. So, yeah, let us know what you think, and I'll go ahead and throw it back to the rest of the episode that I'm going to be doing solo. So, Tiny, thank you for taking the time to chat with me about Tiger King, and hope you stay safe and healthy, and don't get your arm eaten off.
Yes, sir. You do the same. I don't know. My dog's only 15 pounds. I'm not sure he could pull that off. So
I've got to say that picture that I think Paige posted on Facebook, that was the pillow that you guys had.
Yeah.
Like in like the way that he's like looking over the pillow, like begging for food. Like I just saw that and I was like, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like,
he does. He ain't no fool, as they say.
No. Yeah. So thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of this episode. All right, and that was our recording of us talking about Tiger King. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, thank you guys so much for listening, and once again, check out cancanindy.com, KANKANINDY.com, and also definitely go and buy a gift card to the Artcraft Theater in Franklin. Support them while they are shut down because of the pandemic. So thank you guys so much for listening once again, and we'll see you next time. Next time on the show, I'm going to do a special episode where I talk about a bunch of Philip K. Dick adaptations that I watched. So that should be fun. So check that out coming up on the podcast. Until then, again, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you guys so much for listening to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast. And now, here's a short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. To hear the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy. This is, I don't even know what day it is of isolation. I don't know if I would even count it as isolation. Well, yeah, it is isolation because I haven't gone anywhere. I've gone to the store a couple of times and work a couple of times. And that's since like I don't even know when. I don't know. I know that it's been like 20 days since I've seen a movie in a movie theater. And I had a dream where I was seeing a movie in a movie theater. And I tweeted about that, but part of the dream was that I was in line at concessions, and then I got into the theater and sat down, and like the first thing I saw was like a trailer for Fast 9 and something about Keanu Reeves. I don't know. This is premium content you're paying for, me talking about my dreams. So all this stuff's going on is crazy.
The Obsessive Viewer podcast is edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. For a full archive of our episodes, go to ObsessiveViewer.com/OV archive. You can also like our Facebook page and join the OV Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer and at ObsessiveTiny. And follow our recurring co-hosts at I am Mike White, that's me, at R.A. Feckus, and at Burger_Lurker. If you enjoy the show, please take a couple minutes to leave us a rating and a quick review on Apple Podcasts. This is the easiest way to support what we do, and all it costs is a little bit of your time. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or support us on Patreon for recurring donations and access to commentary tracks and B-roll audio recorded exclusively for patrons at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. Or you can simply search for Obsessive Viewer at teepublic.com, T-E-E, public.com. For information about our annual live event showcasing short horror films from local filmmakers, check out shocktoberInIrvington.com. And for an archive of all our events, as well as news about potential future events, head over to obsessiveviewer.com/live. For more podcast content, you can find Anthology, Matt's solo podcast covering The Twilight Zone and other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows at anthologypod.com and on Twitter at OVAnthologyPod. You can also find Tower Junkies, a podcast where Matt and Tiny share their love of all things Stephen King and his magnum opus, the Dark Tower series, at towerjunkiespod.com and at towerjunkiespod on Twitter. And finally, check out The Secular Perspective, Tiny's side project podcast, which tackles current events and life's big questions from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda at thesecularperspective.com. The theme music for The Obsessive Viewer comes courtesy of the band Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. Additional bumper music is provided courtesy of As Good As It Gets, which can be found at facebook.com/asgoodasitgetsband. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!